And it doesn't make a lot of sense. Why does it say, man, I want to create the best relationship with my spouse, but then I'm still not telling her I love her? How does that make any sense? It doesn't. And for me, I was like, why? Why do people do this? Why? Why is it two people can go through life with the same circumstances, the same experience, and come out totally different people? How many of you guys have ever seen people go through they were in the same room, heard the same conversation, had totally different meanings on the other end of it, yeah? Like how, what? Were you not, how many of you guys have ever been in an argument with somebody because they literally, that is not what happened. That is not what happened. Right? I've been in situations like, no. Like, there's no way we were in the same room, right? And then maybe you look back and you're like, did that happen? No, that didn't happen, So, and you look at it because, how we all perceive things all usually go through these big filters that we have. And through our experiences, how we grew up, our philosophies, from teachers, school, media, all these different things. So anyway, I'm going to jump in here to some of this, but I can probably already tell you, I'm going to veer from this. Don't worry. We're going to give you credit for tonight's class, whether you get anything filled in tonight or not. Because I just want you to really try to absorb as much as you can, take down what you want, take down what you think you need in this information. Not because I don't believe that this is valuable or important, but you're going to get this too. In the goal setting workshops, we're doing more stuff on that. And the goal setting workshop Joe did at the regional, yes? Yes. So for those of you guys that missed the regional, you missed the back half of what this training is already. So since we really covered that, I'm going to move forward. But anyway, I'm going to get started with some things. I know I kind of was already starting. That was a long intro. I'm sorry. So as Jim would say, if you're ready, say I'm ready. Ready. Turn to your neighbor and say, you're going to learn something. Yeah. Turn back to your neighbor and say, it's about time. It's about time. I've been waiting for you to understand this. So, it's funny. So, first time I heard that, I was at a John C. Maxwell leadership event. So, okay. Some of you guys are like, man, that was a good line. I just copied it from somebody. Almost everything I'm going to say today, someone else said, and I took it, and you're like, he's good. No, good copycat, So that's really what worked for me in dance. That's how dance works, Somebody is able to create a routine organically through their body. They choreograph something, and then you have to mimic and model it identically. The feeling, the mood, the tone, the front of the beat, the back of the beat. If you're really precise, and most of it, especially, I don't know if it's, not necessarily, but for some reason, like the Asians, right? And it's the Filipinos, right? Yeah, they're just like, I don't know, they're just all like super talented in hip hop, but they're all very intricate. Like everything is like precise. Like there's a difference between this and this, like 1 finger, 2 finger, right? When you're cleaning stuff. So we got really good when we were watching routines of mimicking everything identically, So when I watch things, I would always just try to incorporate and mimic them because I was like, well, if this person's getting great results in their life and that's what they're doing, let me just do that. All right. Makes sense? All right. So, but going through the information, let me click through a few slides here, and then probably what's going to happen is I'm going to stop talking about them. If you want to be wealthy, learn this lesson. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job, or even here on your business. Learn to work harder on yourself than you do on your job. This is probably one of the most important quotes or philosophies in life, okay? In understanding skills makes labor more valuable, okay? The more skills you have, the more valuable you are to the marketplace. You want to be worth more, okay? You want to be worth more, become more. The more value you provide to the marketplace. If you can solve small problems, you get paid small money. When you can solve big problems, you can get paid big money. So, a couple things here, writing it down. One of the biggest distinctions that people usually screw up is they get this one backwards. And what I mean by backwards is this. Most people that I've talked to and seen that are on this pursuit of trying to create success in their life in whatever endeavor, it doesn't have to be financial, it could be in any endeavor, usually feel like they have to have something, like they need to acquire something. I need this skill, I need this concept, I need to read this book, I need this, right? I need to have this so I can go do this so I can be this. So they got this whole thing backwards, okay? I need to have so I can do so I can become. It actually goes the opposite way around. Number one place you have to start with is who do I need to be? So I can go do the things necessary to have the results I'm looking for. So we got to kind of flip the script on this because most people have it backwards, okay? Now, and Tony, how many guys, Tony Robbins, heard of Tony Robbins, right? If you haven't, you know, the big giant guy, big teeth, you know, and so yeah, big hands, like weirdly, like what is going on right now? I feel like a hobbit when I shake his hand. And you know, one of the things that I did when I had a chance, I'd listened to a lot of his stuff, but I hadn't done any of Tony's work, and I did one of the, I think the first course I did his UPW course in 2007, I'm pretty sure. And I got excited about being around a different peer group of people, and so I joined his Platinum Partnership Program. For those of you guys that know the program, it's obnoxiously expensive. They say it's $60,000, but after everything at the end of the year, it ends up being over $100K. But the reason why is you get basically exclusive access to them on these different trips. So I had a chance, you know, we went to Fiji and there was like 60 of us and hanging out and we're having lunch and dinner, you know, with Tony, and then we were in Dubai and we had a chance to stay at the Burj Al Arab, the 7-star resort, the big sail in Dubai. And we had a financial training, and he brought in all his financial investors, and it was crazy because when I went to Dubai, it was April 2008. April 2008, and here's what's crazy. He brought in all his financial investors, and I'm the brokest guy in the room. I'm making a couple $100,000 a year, and I'm like broke. Everybody there is very wealthy. And it was funny because a lot of them had done very well in real estate. So anyway, we're in front of this room in Dubai, and their real estate, and their people are coming in, their financial advisors, and they're talking about seasons. And he teed up the whole weekend on this financial conversation on seasons. He said everything goes through seasons. You know, winter is a season, it comes. You know, and one of the things he said, listen, none of you guys are going to probably like this conversation, but based on everything that we've seen, all of you need to get liquid very quickly. If you're leveraged right now, you need to get out. And they were like, what do you mean? They were like, sell every piece of property you have in the next 6 months. And there were people in the room that had a real estate portfolio of $50 million or more. And they were like, what do you mean? Like, and people were angry and mad and all this stuff. Some of them chose to get out and get liquid with their cash. And some of them chose to keep all their property. And in the next 6 months, from April 2008 to the end of 2008, almost all of them lost at least 30% of the value of their entire life. And it was funny because they said, what's interesting about information is, they said in a book that I've been reading, you know, by Tim Ferriss, he says the future is already here, it's just unevenly distributed. Yeah. Meaning most people don't get access to information until it's too late. What's the book? So now that book, 4 Hour Body. He has a great book called 4 Hour Workweek too. But anyway. The reason why I'm talking about when Tony talks about this is one of the great things in the conversations that we do have. He said, if I had you write down every goal that you've ever wanted in your life, and when we first started with the training, Chris Swish, what a beast, dude, right? Like, what? Where did you come from? Like, it doesn't make much sense to me, but you're amazing. Not that it doesn't make sense you're amazing, but you know. I mean, but for as little time as you've been around, you're being such a student of your craft is amazing. So amazing. So, crazy. So, and so the reason why I'm saying is what Tony talks about is if you write down, when Chris talked about your why, and you wrote down your why, right? I want this, I want this, I want this, I want this. So what most people do is they go from why to how. Okay? So how do I do it? How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I do this? How do I do it? How do I do it? How do I? What do I got to do? Okay? So they have these goals, and then it's what do I got to do? And one of the things that was a big distinguisher for me when I started listening to some personal development is I remember the point when I was in my business for about a year, and I was doing, and I couldn't get anywhere. I was just kind of stuck on this treadmill. My business was like this revolving door. People were just coming in and going out. And I was like, how do you do this? This doesn't make any sense. Yeah? And then my philosophy switched, because if you wrote down everything in your life you've ever wanted to do, own, have, experience, create, build, you know, between now and the next 30 years, everything, like, and you left nothing off. And I said, if you knew you couldn't fail, what would you write down? That's what you should put down. And you made this list of everything, like, no governor on it, like everything you really want. Even the stuff you're afraid to write down because somebody might think you're crazy. Bless you. Okay? By the way, I heard it once said, if no one's laughing at your dreams, they're not big enough. Okay? And so he wrote down all this stuff. And I looked at that list, and Tony said, instead of getting a plan of what to do, he said the most important thing is question you need to ask yourself is, who do I need to become in order to accomplish these things? Who would I need to become? What would I have to give up? So those are a few things that I want to talk to you guys about here today. And we talked about taking out the trash on Saturday, didn't we? Yeah. Okay, right? Being present, getting rid of that, okay? And dropping that baggage off, letting that go. So how many of you guys enjoyed the training from Saturday? Did you guys get a little bit out of that? Okay, so Tim got it on video. So he's going to be posting it up online on YouTube. So that way, if you want to share that with somebody, if you think it's valuable. But you don't want to get on the attitude roller coaster. Okay, ups and downs, lows and highs. Nobody wants to be with that person that one day is like high as a kite, and the next day, how you doing? Secret. And then the next day they're like, I don't know, man. And then the next day they're like, I'm getting a tattoo. No. Okay, it's emotionally unstable. People don't follow people that can't control their emotions. Have a long-term vision. Manage your expectations. This is important. Managing expectations is a big part of leading. Maintain your composure. If you don't have guests, you need the meeting. If you have guests, the meeting needs you. Positive up, negative down. These are just some philosophies on attitude, which are great for our business. Fijians have a great saying. There's no such thing as bad weather, only bad clothing. Because you can't do anything about the weather, but you can always do things about your clothing. So don't get mad at things you have no control over. Why? It's pointless. You lose every time. How many of you guys have ever had people that woke up like on the wrong side of the bed? You guys met those people? Yeah. So I always tell those people, push your bed to one wall so you only have a good side to wake out of. But that's how most people start their day. How many guys have, and I'm guilty of this myself, but how many guys have been guilty of making one poor choice in the beginning of your day and then just blowing off your whole day, right? Like you wake up and you do one thing that wasn't in line. Like you woke up and intended to have a superb day. Like, I'm going to do this, it's going to be a great day, and then you wake up and you make one poor choice, and you're like, that's it. Whole day sucks. I'll start tomorrow. It's 8:30 a.m., right? And how many of you guys have been guilty of that on some level, right? Okay. So, and never get back on track. So just, coming back is important, right? Now, in the personal development phase in growth, in your education, I'm going to go through these phases. But the first thing is, in learning things, you become what we call unconsciously competent. This is where you don't even know what you don't even know. And this is really why you come to the trainings. Now, if I had an Elmo or a whiteboard, I'd draw this out. But do me a favor. Everyone draw a circle anywhere on their notebook. Draw a circle on your notebook. Okay? Now, if that circle represented all knowledge in the entire world, what percentage of knowledge do you know of all knowledge that has ever existed in the entire world? What percentage of that circle do you think you would actually know? Right? Like. Listen, for those of you guys that did 2%, you need to check your egos. Right? I'm talking all knowledge in the whole world. You know nothing. How many guys have figured out the more you learn, the more you realize you don't know, right? Because that really is it. I mean, what? Like, even if I put a pencil dot on it, you wouldn't know that much of all knowledge that's ever existed, okay? But let's just say, for sake of example, I can't really do it. Just draw a pie chart that takes off like a little sliver of that, and let's just call it 10%, okay? Let's just say, for this example, 10% of knowledge, okay? But those are things that you know that you know. These are things you know. Like, what's something you know? English. Okay, right? Physics, if you know physics, okay? What else is something you know? Your name, okay? What else do you know? Okay, construction, okay? Something that you know. How to ride a bike. How to do a wild party, yeah. How to blueprint, right? Okay, so how to tie your shoe, brush your teeth, right? These things we know. Now, let's take another sliver. Let's take another 10% of that sliver, okay? Just make another one. Draw another line here and get another 10%. And I want you to call that don't know. Okay, bless you. But these are things that you know you don't know. Like, what's something you know you don't know? Brain surgery. Korean, Spanish. What's something else you don't know? How to dance. Right? Okay. Okay. So these are things that you don't know. Say what? What is it?
You said you don't know, right?
Things you don't know.
I said women.
Women, yes, yes. Okay, if humans are weird creatures, women are definitely weird. Okay? No. Okay? In a fantastic way. I'm just letting you know. But, men are from Mars, women are from Venus, right? The thing that I probably love most about women is how much they'll test men. Just to see. Just, how much do you really love me? It's so funny, because the funniest thing, I think one of the funniest things about women is like gifts. It could be the most expensive gift in the world, but if it was easy for you to get, it doesn't mean much. If you had to literally, fly to the Dead Sea and put on scuba gear and go to the bottom to get some special algae, and bring it up and give it to her and listen, babe, I went for you. This could be the ugliest thing in the world, but they were like, he loves me. The harder it was for you. I love it, okay? So, I love it, okay? Women are fantastic creatures, okay? So, anyway, for those of you guys that are looking to improve in your relationship, but also your communication skills, a book I would definitely recommend, The 5 Love Languages. Yes. Holy cow. That was a big one, right? So, 5 love languages were ridiculous, okay? Best thing to do, read it with your significant, okay? For those of you that are single and you'd like to have an actual relationship, you might want to read it. What it talks about is that when you're communicating with a person, most people express love how they interpret love, okay? But everybody has their own language of love. Meaning some people's is more physical touch, some people is more verbal communication. So, as an example, you could be telling your spouse or your significant, I love you, I love you, I love you, I love you, and they'd be like, well, yeah, you say you love me, but you never touch me. So, calm down. All right, okay. So, for some people, there's this acts of service, meaning you could say, I love you, I love you, I love you, but yeah, but you never do the dishes. All the women that are, their love language is acts of service were like, hell yes, right? That was their number one. In some women, it's not a big deal because that's not their love language. Some of his love language is gifts, some is different. So when you learn, so most people give love in the way they'd like to receive love instead of giving love in the way that their partner would like to receive love. Okay? So, and anyway, let's not get too deep into that conversation because we got to roll. But we got more to do. But anyway, what was I talking about right before this?
10%.
10%. Oh, thank you guys. Okay, appreciate it. So things you don't know. Women, good example. Thanks, Chris, for a total tangent. Appreciate that. Okay. Now, the reason why I want to go over this is this. Now, those are things you don't know. But the biggest gap, the rest of that pie chart is made up of things that are called the things that you don't know that you don't know. These are things you don't know you don't know. What's something you don't know you don't know? Yeah, you don't know. But let me ask you a question. How many of you guys have come to a training like this? Come to a training like this and learned something you didn't even know, but it helped you in your life. Yeah. You're like, I didn't even know I needed to know that. A lot of times they refer to these as what they call blind spots. These are the areas in life a lot of times people get tripped up on. Now, I didn't invent this. I learned it in a course called Landmark. Do we have any Landmark grads in the room? Landmark grads? Okay. All right. Amazing education. Okay. I would highly recommend it. But one of the things is there's a few different courses. There's what they call the Forum and the Advanced course. Don't take the Forum unless you're going to do the Advanced course. It's my recommendation to you.
So which first?
Okay. The Forum is first. Forum and then Advanced course. Meaning you can't take the Advanced course before the Forum, but don't do the Forum. Don't make a commitment to take the first course unless you're going to do the first 2 courses. Does that make sense? Because the first course will kind of leave you dazed and confused a little, unless you've taken the second course. Just letting you know. At least that's my experience from people I've sent. But one of the things that the Forum gave me was it gave me a relationship with my father. And, my dad had his dad, who passed away from alcoholism very young. And my dad was never very affectionate. He didn't even know how to be because people model what they usually get. So my dad was never like emotionally available. The only time my father ever showed emotion it was during sports. So my dad coached my sports, so it was the only time. And one of the reasons why I became very competitive at a young age was because when I performed well in sports, I finally saw my dad excited enough to show emotion towards me. So one of the reasons I became so competitive in life didn't have anything to do with me being competitive. It was about me wanting to get love from my father. And what was fascinating was in certain moments that sculpted me throughout my childhood were these specific things. And it's what sculpted all of us. Now, whoever played your mother role and your father role in your life, and it could have been the same person, okay, have the greatest impact on who you have become today. Okay? Good or bad, depending on, and I'm not saying, and it doesn't mean anything behind that other than that it has sculpted you in the direction of the philosophies and what you've created about what life, how it is. Because how many of you know people that like their life is set up as life is a battle? How many of you guys know people that's kind of like their life is a battle? Everything is a battle. Their relationship is a battle, work is a battle, everything is a battle. How many of you guys know other people that life is like a game? How many of you guys know these people? Like everything is kind of a game. They don't take anything serious, And so everybody has different philosophies behind it. The reason why I say this and going back to my dad was one of the reasons why I'm great in landmark education because it gave me a relationship with my father back because prior to that, my father and I never said we loved you. I love you. That didn't happen. And, and it was crazy because I was able to clean up some things with him because I was waiting for my father for years. I was waiting for him because after our sports, I didn't do sports anymore. My dad and I didn't have anything to connect with anymore emotionally. So I was like waiting for him to do something he wasn't capable of. And I'm like blaming my father for not being a dad. And it was funny because when I really stepped back, I was like, you know what? Every time that I've asked him to be there, he's always been there. And then we went to him. We had an amazing conversation, and it freed up everything. And he literally like broke down to me, and he was like, thank you so much for giving me permission because I just didn't know how to approach you. And it's amazing. Everything changed. And so now when conversations have totally shifted, with my father. We actually talk about stuff. It's great. Sometimes it takes him a while still. Okay? And then my mom. One of the reasons why I got very gifted, I was very, not gifted, but I was very blessed early on in my life is because my mom really got into a lot of personal work. And the reason why my mom got into a lot of personal work is because my mom probably had one of the worst childhoods that anybody could possibly grow up in. And I know there's some of you that have grew up in challenging homes, and I get, and I know. My mom should be clinically insane. With what she went through. And it's just amazing. Now, the only reason she was able to, break through some of these things is because of her diving into personal growth. And one of the things that Tony talks about, which is so fantastic, he says the quality of your life is in direct reflection of the quality of questions you ask yourself on a constant basis. Because when you ask yourself a question, your brain will answer it. But many people are asking themselves just terrible questions. Like, why does this always happen to me? And if that's the question you always ask yourself, your brain will come up with an answer, because you're stupid. Because you don't deserve it. It'll come up with an answer. I promise. Okay? In this internal dialogue. So anyway, my mom learned a great question that she started asking me when I was young. And I grew up with this question, and it was like one of those things, I hated it, but I'm so grateful for it today. How many of you guys have things in your childhood that your parents did that you hated growing up, but you're grateful they were good lessons, yes? Oh my God, this is one of them, right? Anytime I was upset, angry, frustrated, pissed, right? My mom would ask me this question, so what's really going on? What's really going on? What's really going on here? What's really going on? And in the beginning, I used to get so mad because how many of you guys were mad at something and you're not really mad at what happened, you're mad about something totally separate from what just happened, but you blew up because some incident happened. How many of you guys have done this? Right. Ladies, right? Let me store that one for later. I'm going to get him.